Welcome to the Rising Tide Leadership Podcast, Gen Z edition, where we talk about relationships, all things young people might have issues with or love or whatever. And I'm Bailey Carroll, and I'm sitting here with my mentor, Mo. Hi, Mo.
What's up, Bailey? It's good to be here. I'm excited about this one. So let's talk relationships.
So I was watching this. I know you always prefer me to read, but I was watching a show on Netflix per usual, and this one was called Twin Flames. I don't know if you've seen it. You probably haven't because you're usually reading, but I am obsessed with like all things like that are super unusual or like true crime or just like anything documentary like on Netflix. So I'm watching this one show and they talk about this like crazy kind of scenario. So it's a married couple who claims that they're the only couple in the entire world who can truly be the only ones to show if you, or to tell you or confirm if you are a relationship with the love of your life, the partner that you're going to be with for the rest of your life. So they are holding a whole of decision making on if you're the right person. They like start gaining all these followers like through Facebook, social media, trying to get people to like buy into what they're selling essentially. And the craziest things happen. Like this one girl moved from California to Switzerland to meet this one guy that she had only a couple messages with on like MySpace or whatever the heck it was back in the day, but moves all the way across the world for this one guy. And some other people like start to believe that they're like identify as a different kind of like if they're gay or bi or whatever the case is, because these people are telling them that they are not who they say they have been for the last 20 some odd years. So obviously that's crazy. Like listening to like watching it back, even the people that were on the show were like, how did we possibly believe this was true? But in the moment, it feels so real because I'm sure it feels so real for them because they want so badly to find the love of their life. So like you can't fault them because what they're wanting is something good. What they're wanting to find true love for the rest of their life. These people are promising that they can deliver it, and these sweet people are just trying to find love. I bring this up because I think in extremes, you know that, and I obviously was taking it from the big extreme all the way back down to the micro level of things. And I was thinking like, do we do this with our friends, family, relationships on a daily basis, just on accident, when we are telling people our advice or our opinions or giving people insight into their lives? And we're truly telling them with like the purest intention that we want them to do this. We think this is the best idea for them. They should move forward with that plan or that person. And they listen to us. And how do we know that's the right path to tell them to go down? Like, how do we know that we're not leading them just like the Twin Flames couple was leading all of their people on, like all their followers? How do we know we're not like leading people to chaos, essentially?
Yeah, I think you already know what I'm going to say about this. But first, before I say that, one, that is absolutely insane. I totally need to watch this documentary. That's how bad people want to be led, right? That's how bad people want to have people speak into their lives. So you're right. It's kind of a bummer. It's really a bummer that people are moving to the other side of the world. They're changing identities and listening to these people because we just want so bad to have influence in our lives. And so I'll start with that. Influence can be good or bad. And so when young people out there are thinking about being influenced by other people, and we've all heard it. What does your mom say? She says, if Jenny jumped off a bridge, would you go jump off a bridge too? And you're like, well, if it was cool, maybe, right? But essentially what mom's trying to tell you is don't just go with the flow. You need to learn to be your own person. You also need to be influenced the right way. And so that's the first thing that I would tell people out there is who are the people that have influence in your life? Because we all have people that are influencing us. The question is, who are those influences? You are the 5 people that you hang out with. If you hang out with bank robbers, you're going to be a bank robber. If you hang out with people who play cricket, you're probably going to end up playing cricket. If you hang out with people that go to the symphony, you're going to probably end up going to the symphony. That's just how it is. You are the five people you hang out with. And so that's why I tell people, you want to hang out with others who read, who associate with good people. I always have said to you, and I've said to others, I want to be the weakest or the worst person in my group. I want to be hanging out with other men and women who are way beyond, because I want to aspire to be like them. And maybe that's a little bit selfish, but I've always tried to hang out with people who are better than I am. So that's the influence part, right? And so how do we know who to follow? Look at the fruit on the tree. Are they somebody that you want to be like? And I'm trying to spend time with people that I want to be like. If I want to be like somebody, that's the person that I'm going to hang out with. If somebody doesn't have ambition, I don't want to hang out with them. If you're not going to be wanting to be a person of influence, I really don't want to spend time with you, because I'm always looking to influence others, right? John Maxwell says in 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, chapter 21, it's all about the law of the legacy. When you leave, is the organization better? When you leave, is the relationship better? And so relationships come and go, right? You're a young person. You've had quite a few relationships with different girls as friends, guys, friendships, mentors, coaches. But when you get done with those relationships, are you a better person for having spent time with them? When my student athletes come to swim for me, I take inventory. So when I met you, Bailie, back when you were a freshman, I took inventory and I thought to myself, I may or may not ever have, but you know me, I take inventory on everybody. So there's always a team of 20 to 25 young people on a team. And I take inventory and I say, where is each person? And I know your freshman year, all the freshmen that came in. I remember all those girls. And my hope at the beginning of that year was, whether these girls or this girl, or because everybody's got a different path in life, right? Some girls make it all 4 years, some don't, some quit or go to a different team or whatever it is. That's just the nature of athletics. But I thought, if I have a year with this girl, how can I make her life better? If I have 4 years with this student athlete, how do I make her life better? And so, but see, I'm going into a season or whatever, or a season of life, right? We talk about seasons, and in athletics, we talk about seasons of life. But I'm being very intentional about that. Most people are not intentional about that. The only reason I'm intentional about it is because I've hung out with people, men and women, who have always asked me the question, Mo, how are you being intentional? So now I'm an intentional person. You know that. You know that when we're going to have a conversation, I'm going to have questions. So for people out there, are you spending time with the right people? If somebody's telling you certain things and you know they're not right, then you're probably not in the right friendship or relationship.
But that's the thing, is how do you even know? That was great. How do you even know that? Like, I think we need to address first and foremost why you shouldn't give your opinion to people. Why is it so bad to give advice to friends or to coworkers? Or because like people think that is like asinine. People don't understand why you wouldn't want to get, like, don't you want to help your friend? Don't you want to help your coworker? Why wouldn't you want to like give them your advice and like help them along? People don't understand that it could actually be detrimental just because people are like, they don't actually know the right way, you know? Like people don't actually, weirdly enough, we are not always right. So how, like, can you please explain about that? Because I think that's the first hang up.
I believe that you should never give your opinion to anybody for any reason. And I'll tell you why. When I give my opinion to somebody, only two things can happen, and they're both bad. Either A, you will take my advice, and now I'm on the hook, meaning it's now my responsibility. Bailie came to me and she said, Mo, what should I do in this situation? And I say, let me give you my sage wisdom. And then you do that thing. Well, it might work out, but there's probably a 50% chance that it's not going to work out. And so I don't want to be on the hook for that, because then what are you going to say? Mo gives bad advice. Okay, that's the first.
Totally.
But here's the second one. You might not take my advice. Let me say it. Nobody ever wants your advice, ever. When you go to somebody, when Bailie comes to Mo, or Mo goes to Kevin, or Kevin goes, nobody wants advice. None of us want advice. We want to tell people what we want to do, and we want to hear other people say, yeah, that's a great idea. That's why when people get famous, it's a recipe for disaster, as you mentioned. It's a recipe for disaster because at some point you're just surrounding yourself with yes men, with yes women, because you're so famous, you're so rich. Are you going to be the person to tell that person, no, don't do that, that's a dumb idea? Or are you going to say, that's a great idea? And so I don't want to be a part of any of that. So I don't give advice to anybody. The only way that I ever speak into somebody's life is if they earn that. I only have so much time in the day, and so I really am intentional with how many people that I invest in. Right? I don't just spend time with people, I invest in people. And so when I'm investing in somebody, if they are responding to that by making their own good decisions, then they've earned more of my time. For my mentors, the people that I look to, the men and women, I act in such a way where I want them to know I am working hard to make good, correct directional decisions, so I'm earning more of their time. I didn't answer your question, did I?
No, you didn't. And you don't give me your opinion either.
I love it.
I'm just so curious, like on a personal level, I know you hate talking about personal stuff, but like with your friends, are you giving advice to them if they come to you like, Mo, what should I do? Should I buy this house? Should I invest in this like stock? Do you just say like, I don't know, what do you want to do? Like, is that your response? Or like, what do you actually say? Like, what are we supposed to say to our friends when they ask us these questions? Because I truly, they get annoyed. People get so mad at you for not, they're like, just tell me. And it's like, so yeah, can you tell us more about like what is an actual talk track I can say to a friend who's asking for their advice on buying a house? And I say, well, first of all, I guess that's not a good question because I would absolutely have no idea what to say in the first place. But like, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
right?
I do. Yeah,
okay.
I do. And so I'll say this for our listeners out there. If people are coming and asking you for your advice and they get upset when you don't give that. So right now, Bailie, you say that people are asking you questions and then you won't give them an answer and they press you on it, right? But what do you think I should do, Bailie? Right? That is the first warning sign to you, in this case to Bailie, to say, well, why are they really pressing me for my opinion? Obviously, you've given your opinion in the past. And so people are going to press you for it. And it's going to feel weird because it is weird because you're used to giving them your sage wisdom. What I'm saying is stop giving your sage wisdom. Nobody wants your advice. What do I do to specifically answer your question is this. People don't even really know that I'm doing it now because they're so used to me not giving my opinion. When we just started this segment just 45 seconds ago, you started out by saying, Mo, you never give your opinion, but I'm going to ask you this anyway. I have conditioned you to understand I'm not going to give you my opinion. I'm not going to tell Bailie whether she needs to buy a house or not because you already know whether or not you want to buy a house. You're just coming to kind of work those things out. So here's the answer. For young leaders out there especially, because the older you get, the tougher it is. And the more you get stuck in your ways, that's a real thing. So if you're young out there and you want to be a relational genius, because that's what I teach people how to do, I teach people how to be relational geniuses. My goal with Bailie Carroll is to make her a relational genius. And this is how we do it. I say, be the one person that's different in your friend group. When all your friends get together and one of the girls is asking, what should I do? Or there's this guy, should I give him a call? Should I text him? All this kind of stuff. You already know whether it's right or wrong, right? You already know if it's a disaster in the making. You already know what somebody should do, but don't give your opinion. Because as soon as you do, you take a side and you put yourself on one side of the fence or the other. Why would I give you my opinion? My opinions are sacred. Only a few people, the very few people in my life who I coach and mentor or my clients, they're the ones that I still don't give answers, but I will give you options, right? I'll usually say, well, Bailie, you've got a situation here. And the way I see it, you have two options, you have three options. Do you see those? Which way do you want to go? So back to my original point, stop giving your sage advice. Nobody wants it. I don't care what they say. They don't want it. They want you to be a yes person. They want you to be a yes man, a yes woman in their life. Should I date this guy? You already know what they want you to say. They want you to say, well, he's done these things to other girls and made them cry, but I think it's a good idea because you're different, you're better, whatever. What they don't want to hear is, you're just going to end up being like every other girl that guy's dating. So what's going to happen? You're going to make
So
somebody mad.
true.
So what do you do?
And I have.
Ask
Oh my
good
gosh.
questions.
Mo, you're it's like you're in my brain right now because I have had friendships end because I remember in high school I had one of my best friends. She had the worst boyfriend. She knew it. I knew it. Everyone knew it. But when I would tell her it would be awful. It would sting and it would just feel so weird because like, okay, she's not gonna change. Like she's still gonna be with him. What now? I look like the bad guy for not liking her boyfriend? It ruins relationships because once they know how you feel, they can't come to you again saying like the same mistake they made for the 1000th time. It just becomes too scary to like open up to people once they already know how you feel. So I totally get that, and I regret telling that girl how much I hated her boyfriend because she already knew. She already knew how much she hated her boyfriend.
She knew he was mad. She knew she was in a bad relationship. It's like that Seinfeld episode, and I know that a lot of young people don't watch Seinfeld. I know you watch Seinfeld because your parents raised you right. But there's that episode where Kramer has the girlfriend, and then he breaks up with her. And then Jerry and Elaine and George are like, man, we're so glad because that girl was crazy. And then he ends up getting back together with her. And then all of a sudden,
yes.
And then now Kramer's mad, and he's mad at Jerry and Elaine and George because he's like, no, I remember what you said. You guys are dead to me. So don't give your opinion, and that stuff never happens.
Totally. Well, and that's, I could go on 1,000 tangents there. Okay, let's say that you break the rule. You know, you're like, Mo doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm going to give my sage wisdom. I know for sure this is the right answer, and I'm going to tell him. And then you're wrong because Mo is quite literally always right. Why? Or how do you go about like backtracking? Is that even an option at that point, or can you have you lost influence forever?
Well, as Susan Scott would say in Fierce Conversations, and everybody should read that book. Young people should, old people should, anybody in between. She says that you've never had the last discussion. You can always go back and have another conversation. So, yeah, you go back and you say, look, I said the wrong thing. And here's really, Bailie, what people need to do when they give advice at all. They need to go back and say, I'm sorry that I gave you my sage wisdom because I shouldn't have done that in the first place. But I know it sounds weird, and I know you feel like there's no way I can live my life like that. But I'm telling you, it's gonna make your relationships a lot better. So
totally,
stop telling people what to do. Apologize for giving them your sage wisdom. It's horrible. It's wrong. It's not good, and it will make your relationships a lot better if you are the one person in the life of whoever your friends are that does not give them advice. I promise you, you will now be the go-to friend because they're going to come.
And that's so true. Please continue. You're about to nail it. Please.
They're going to come to you and they're going to say, Bailie, you're the one person who I can trust. And why can they trust you? Because you have never given them advice. And everybody else is saying, dump him or stay with him or you need to do this or you need to put your foot down. And all you're saying is, well, how do you feel about that? Do you think that you should listen to so-and-so or do you think you should listen to so-and-so? Your friend already knows what she wants to do. You're just helping her get there. And she's going to say, well, I think I need to listen to so-and-so, who in this case has told me to stay with this guy. And you think that's an absolute horrible. And then you say, that's a great idea. I think that, do you think that's the best course of action? Yeah, I think it is. I'm going to give him one more shot. Hey, great. I'm here for you. And when it doesn't work out, she's not going to get mad at you because she's going to think back and say, Bailie never told me to be with that guy. She told me that I should do what I think I should do, and I thought I should stay with him. And she's going to come back and say, Bailie, it didn't work. And you're going to say, it didn't? Well, tell me more about that. And she's going to tell you more about it. And you are going to be the go-to friend.
Totally.
Try it. Tell me if I'm wrong. I guarantee 100%.
No, I have.
5 stars. Well, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to our audience. I'm talking to our audience.
Right. There's other people I forgot.
For 30 days. Take Mo's 30-day challenge of not giving your sage wisdom. 30 days.
And I just have to say, I have a friend and she does this to me. She doesn't even know she's doing it. She's just that good influence. But all she does, I've come to her 1,000 times with different scenarios. I could say I'm about to go, like, I don't even know what, like, go, like, steal $1 million from a bank. And she would just be like, wow, that's sounds like a big task.
Yeah.
And we would just talk through it. And truly, like, safety has been such a hard thing for me to find in friends. So I could totally see why, because people like me are just blabbering their mouth all over the place, and it's not helpful. And I think that has been what you've told me that, and I think that has really stuck with me just when I have conversations with my friends or relationships is when you say, I don't know why this person is doing this, it's exactly right. It's what Andy Stanley says. You truly don't know why. So then ask them why. Why are you doing the things that you're doing? Like, does it make you feel happy? Does it make you feel safe? What are the reasons why you're doing what you're doing? And then you get to learn a little bit more into their insight, or like into their minds, into what they're thinking and how they're thinking what they're thinking. And it really does not only help you learn more about the situation, but it helps you learn them better as a person and as a friend, because now you have more like insight into how they handle scenarios. To me, it has been so helpful when my friends have done that to me, because I know they're truly caring about what I think, what I feel, how I want to handle the situation, because it's not their life, it's mine. And I've had so many people get so mad at me for not wanting to hear their advice. I literally would be like, I don't, and that gets another side of things, because you have to be nice. You just have to listen to the advice sometimes, but it really can ruin your level of influence with somebody or how much you trust somebody, because you know what they think. And it's so sad, because people really have the best of intentions, and it doesn't come from an evil place at all. It's just not helpful. And I think that's what I've learned. You are trying to help your friend, help them through the scenario by asking them questions on what they think, not what you think. It doesn't matter what you think. It's not your life. It's not your situation. So I appreciate that. And that's been really helpful for me. You get me all worked up. I think when going back to the scenario that you said, like about the boyfriend being bad, she knows that the boyfriend is bad. What would you say to people that would rebuttal that and say, but couldn't you be saving them heartbreak if you really know that they are going to end in a friendship, like stabbing them in the back, or a boyfriend cheating on them, or like awful disasters? Wouldn't you as a friend want to save them from that kind of pain and destruction? Like, what would you say to that rebuttal?
That's a great question, and people have asked me that all the time. In fact, so I'll give you a scenario. There was 1 year where I had two captains on our team, and they had a situation that they had to handle. And one of them wanted to handle it one way, and one of them wanted to handle it the other way, and they both were talking to me. And neither of them knew that I was talking to the other one. They did. I mean, you girls all knew that I was always talking to everybody else, and people would come and talk to me and let me know things. But that was the thing, Bailie. Everybody comes to me and says it because I'm just listening, and I knew that this was going to blow up. I mean, I 100%. And all I had to say was, no, this isn't you. If you want to talk about personal experiences, we could do that too. But I knew both of them very well, because they both went over leadership stuff with me. And I knew that the situation that they were both talking about and how they should handle it, it was just going to be disastrous. And I was excited. I was waiting for it.
Stop.
And sure enough, it happened. And it almost destroyed their relationship. And they both ended up getting mad at me, because they realized, Mo, you knew what was going on and you didn't tell us. And I said, would you have listened? And both of them were like, of course. And I said, no, you wouldn't have. Both of you were so passionate about what you were doing, and that you were right, and that you were right. And I said, now what are we doing? We're sitting here together, all three of us, and we're talking about this, and you girls aren't even mad at each other anymore. You're mad at me. And I said, that's why I don't give people my advice, because had I taken your side or your side, what would have happened? Somebody would have gotten mad at me. So I'd rather have everybody mad at me. I'd rather have everybody upset with me. Because at the very end, it was a great teaching moment for me with those girls to say, do you see how you could have thwarted this had you talked to each other? And they're like, Mo, you should have told us to talk to each other. And I said, didn't I give each of you options? And those options, one of them was, well, what if you talk to her? And what did you say? Well, that's
Absolutely
not going
not.
to work, because if I talk to her, she's just going to do this, that. And I said, and you know what? Both of you were right. But if I would have said, yeah, go, you need to have a conversation or else whatever, you wouldn't have trusted me. You wouldn't have believed me anyway. You were so dead set on what you thought was right or what you thought was wrong that you're going to do whatever you wanted. I was just affirming what you were doing, knowing that you are going to learn a hard lesson. And both of them learned a hard lesson. And now the joke always is, when they're talking to each other, it's, well, did you talk to Mo about this? Because I didn't talk to him about this yet. That jerk. But it works. So this is going to be a hard pill to swallow. You are not the saving grace of all your friends.
Totally.
They need to be able to touch the fire. What do we always do with kids that are trying to touch the hot stove? Stop! Don't do that. Every now and again, you just need to do what my mom did and let me touch the hot stove. And I realized real fast, don't touch the hot stove. Right? It hurt me. It hurt her probably. That it hurt me. But guess what? I never did again. I never touched the hot stove. So here's the question for young people. Here's the question for you, Bailie. What's the hot stove in your life? What's the thing that people keep swatting your hand away, trying to save you, but really they're not being a good friend because they should just let you touch that hot stove? How many hot stoves, figuratively, Bailie, have you touched relationally since I've known you and said, man, I really screwed that one up? And
totally.
The bummer part is, we're sitting here talking, there are some relationships that really were destroyed in your life, right?
Oh, totally.
And you've had girls that you've had falling outs with, and they're wonderful girls. You're a wonderful girl. I love all of you, but you had to experience that heartbreak in the friendship.
Totally.
But now you're a better person for it, not with each other. And I really hope that you reconcile. There's no relationship in my life that I don't wish to reconcile. The more I try to help other people, the more I'm realizing that I need to work on the Mo project. And so that's why when you and I talk, we're talking about the Bailie project. And part of that project all the time has been, stop giving your sage wisdom. I don't care who it is. I don't care what it's for. I don't care if you think that you're going to save their life. You're not going to. I mean, whatever it is. And you can give me these crazy scenarios about, well, what if they're about to jump off a bridge? Okay, if that happens, we'll deal with that when it comes. But I would say most things are not.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
We'll jump off that bridge when we get there. But until then, most of the daily things and daily relationships that we're dealing with, it's not that bad. You need to let people fail. As John Maxwell would say, you need to let people fail. Give them the opportunity to fail forward.
I was just about to say, I feel like you bring up a really good point about if you tell people to not make a decision, there's still an underlying root problem there. Why do they want to go back to their boyfriend that's hurting them? Why can't they stop gossiping about their friend all the time? There's an underlying root there that's almost like just a symptom.
Yeah.
It's a side effect of the actual problem. I appreciate that because, like, if you give your advice on the side effect, you're not really getting down to the nitty-gritty, which is what's actually going on. Why can't they stop talking trash about people? Like, there's a lot ask questions about and talk through with your friend or boyfriend or whatever that might actually be more helpful if you really are trying to help that person. So it's kind of almost like a 2-for-1. Like, you don't get to hurt the relationship by giving your advice, and you get deeper with the person because you're getting to know them more by asking them deeper questions about the situation. I love your thoughts on asking questions. It's so helpful for me. And it kind of gives another out for you if people are too annoyed with, like, just give me your opinion. Because when I have asked you like multiple times, like, Mo, come on, please, like, give me your opinion. I just want to know, please, like, let's skip the nonsense. Just tell me what you think, please, dear God, immediately now. And then you say, which always throws me off because I have ADHD, so my brain is like gone already. But immediately you're like, okay, weird. Like, okay, well, have you thought about this? Or like, what about, have you tried, you ask me questions and my mind immediately like starts going down another rabbit hole of like, well, have I thought about that idea? Like, let me think about it. And then I start going again, crazy again. And I start talking. All I do is talk, like I'm doing now. And when you ask me a question, it just allows me to find out more information about myself and the situation.
So based on what we've been talking about, what is the message for young people about giving advice? What have you learned? If you were to tell them, what would you say?
I would say that no matter how pure your intentions are wanting to help somebody, there's no for sure way to know that you're right. And if you do know you're right, they don't know you're right. And that's why they're asking you. So the whole solution is to help them figure out that they have the right. Like, obviously, if something is so clear to you, like you shouldn't go back to your boyfriend who's abusing you, so clear, so obviously clear, why are they even questioning it? Why are they even questioning it? So like your opinion of, even though it's so obvious to you, isn't helpful for them because it's not that obvious to them. They need help. So instead of just like making them feel stupid and saying like, no, don't go back to that person, you idiot, you'd be like, why do you find it necessary? Like, what do you find so fulfilling in that relationship? And it allows for more, like, I would say, instead of giving your opinion and advice, give questions, ask questions, because questions only allow for more dialogue and more information to be learned.
I love it. That's what I would have said.
Even though you would never tell me. You remember in the beginning of this podcast, when I sent you that little soundbite of my intro, I said, did you listen to my audio? And you said, yes. I said, can you tell me what you think about it? And you said, pretty cool stuff. Wait, what did you say? Wait, I want to get this right. Did you listen to the audio I sent you to this phone? I did get a chance to listen to it. Did you have questions on it or need my thoughts? Yes, all of the above. Sounds good. Let me get a response to you in the next hour or so. I don't know if you saw my initial responses to all your questions on the document, which, by the way, were just definitions from other authors or questions. So again, always find a way.
Yeah, I love how you're just totally throwing me under the bus and reading my text messages now. We should do an entire podcast on all the text messages back and forth and how I never give answers.
Yeah, another like classic one. I asked Mo, like, oh, I said, oh yeah, I'll get this week's Google Doc all set up. Their only response I get is, dude, because he knows I'm not going to get it set up that day. He knows me too well. The last question I had was, are there checks and balances to see if you're steering people in the right direction? Because I know that we can't give our opinion or our advice on things, but we can lay out options and we can ask questions. So what if we're not laying out all the options at hand? Or what if we're not asking the right questions? Like, with our questions and our options, we're still somewhat steering people in a direction. How do you go about making sure that it's neutral enough to not lead them down right or wrong path? Like, is there a way to check?
The checks and balances in your relationships is this. If you are giving any kind of advice, then you're already putting yourself, you're already behind. You're already not doing what you should be doing, which is asking great questions. When you give options, some people have started, they'll take my advice, but the options they give are really just answers. And there's a difference.
Right.
Yes. So you could be like, so if there's a girl and she's with a boyfriend who's just being mean to her, you say, so you have a couple of options. You can stay with your mean jerk boyfriend, or you can break up with him. What are you telling her to do? You're
Break up
telling
with
her
him.
if she doesn't choose option A and break up with him, that she's dumb. You got to be unbiased. I'm telling you, this is the hardest thing for people is you got to be unbiased because you're not that important. Stop trying to give your important advice. It's not that good. If your advice was good, your life would be better. And I'm talking to you out there, whoever is listening, you're not good enough right now in making your own decision. Stop giving people your bad advice. Stop giving people your bad advice. Just stop it.
That's so true.
So back to what I would say to somebody in the situation that you just gave about somebody who's in a bad relationship. The option would be, hey, it sounds to me like you have a couple of options here. You can stay with your boyfriend, but I also hear you say that you could break up with him. Talk me through what each of those scenarios would look like, and then be quiet. That was not biased. She doesn't know what you're thinking. She knows that there's two options that she gave you. Because if she came to you and said, he's being abusive, mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever, and now you know, she already knows. She knows she has to make a decision, and she's saying, I'm not sure if I should stay with this guy or not. She's the one who brings it up. If she doesn't bring that up, then you got to watch out even for that option. So let me take it back. If somebody comes and says, Bailie, let's say it's not a should I break up with this guy? If somebody comes to you and says, Bailie, he's doing it again. He is being emotionally or mentally abusive. Then one, you always want to be empathetic and you always want to listen. Tell me more about that and let her talk. But then you ask, and here's the great question. Did you want to talk through changes in the relationship, or you just wanted to let me know how things work? She might say, I just wanted to talk about it. I just wanted to vent. Thank you for listening. You are friend of the year right there. But they might say, no, I feel like I need to make some changes. And that's usually what some people say. Then the question is, well, it sounds like you have some options. You could keep the relationship how it is, or you can make changes. Can you talk to me about what changes mean? Because you're thinking, get rid of the SOB. But she might be thinking, I need to have a conversation with him. Let her bring up the options.
Therapy.
Stop telling people what they need to be doing because you're wrong. You're not good enough. I don't care what you think you know. Your own relationships are not good enough to be giving advice. So stop giving advice. Ask better questions. So that's what I would say. So that having been said, what do you tell, based on what you've learned from me, and as we talk about this, what do you tell young people in their relationships? Like if you were talking to one of your friends, the friend who was giving advice, what would you tell that person about giving advice?
First of all, I would ask them, because I ask questions. First of all, I would ask them, what makes you think that's right? If it's something that's not so maybe it's a little bit more gray. Why do you think that that's the right question, only right way to go about it? Have you not seen, what if a miracle happens and the other one actually is right? So I would clarify, I would get more clarification on that. But I would also say, I think what people don't understand is if you're really trying to help somebody, why are you just giving them it's kind of like when you're in school, and I remember asking questions to the teacher, and instead of the teacher just telling me the direct answer, he would refer me back to a page to read more about. And not only did that help me with my answer, but I also learned 5,000 other things that I actually also resonated with me that I didn't even begin to ask him or even start to ask that question to him. You don't really know what people's question is. And I think in order to be good at relationships, you have to be good at decoding what people are actually saying. And if you're asking me a question, I'm trying to figure out why. I'm thinking deeper. I'm already going deeper. I'm already thinking more about why are you asking me that? First of all, is there some lack of confidence that this person has in their decision? I already want to just know more about what they're talking about. So I would say if you're really trying to help your friend or your coworker, whoever's in your life, you want to know more information. You want to get down to the deeper level of things, because that's where all the like I feel like a lot of the true like revelation happens, not for you but for them, and that's what's really helpful. So stop thinking that like I have to tell myself all the time, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, because it doesn't, you're not helping. And I know that that's my goal. I have good intentions. My goal is to help. So let's actually help them by helping them come to their own conclusion. If I was to ask a teacher, like a insane genius teacher, like, tell me what pi is, tell me like all the numbers of pi, he would just tell me like 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, I don't even know. I can't even give you, all I know is 3.14 because that's pizza day. I wouldn't even understand what he's trying to tell me. I don't get it. I don't know what you're saying, and I'm not going to remember it. And now, like, it seems so obvious to you, but I don't get it still. It's the same thing when people ask us questions about advice or relationships or anything. We might know the answer, we might not. That guy could have gotten a number wrong here and there, who knows? It's not going to make sense to them. So you want to like help your friend come to learn pi, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's just more helpful when you think about it. And I think about it from my perspective when friends have done that for me, because things get so twisted in your mind. It's crazy like how wrapped up it gets in there. Some of the most like tender moments I've had with my friends is when I'm like this, like am I really not, like, I'll come to them with something like vulnerable, like obviously that like doesn't make any sense. Like, am I really not good enough? Like, am I that stupid? Like, we are able to talk through it because they're able to help bring clarity to my brain by asking me questions. Like, well, Bailey, let's talk about like the action you did. Did you think that not inviting her was probably the best decision? Did you think that do you feel like you created boundaries with her in the right way? Or they help me come to my own clarity, because sometimes that's not clear on both angles. I have loved when my friends have asked me questions instead of making me feel like I don't know what's right for my own life. It's helpful for me, and I think it even strengthens our relationship as friends.
So the bottom line is this, and you just mentioned it right there. What you said is exactly what we all need to remember relationally, which is most of us just want somebody to resonate with us, and we want to know that somebody's on our side.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine when somebody is going through a tough time relationally. They're already getting beat up. It's already tiresome. They're already second guessing everything that they're doing, whether it's a romantic relationship or it's a relationship with a friend that is just going bad. They already feel like they're making the wrong decision. What they need from you, because you're the only friend that's going to do it for them, is you just need to be there with them. Ask them the good questions. Ask them, how can I help? That's the best question that you can ask somebody. Man, I'm having a horrible time with my boyfriend. He's doing X, Y, and Z. Hey, that sounds like a very crappy situation. How can I help? And you know what you might say? Can we just go get some ice cream? I haven't had ice cream in a long time. Or
strawberry, please.
You know what? Yeah, can we get some strawberry ice cream or whatever it is? Or, you know what? I just need to get away. Can we hang out? Or maybe they just say, you know, I don't need anything, but thanks for listening. You can never go wrong with that.
Totally.
And so what I want to leave people with today is the bottom line is that people don't need your sage advice. They need you to be there for them and be empathetic and listen to them. And when they ask you a question and want your sage advice, turn it around and ask them, how can I help? And I'll leave with making one point, and then I'll give you the last word today, Bailey. But remember this, when you're having a conversation with somebody, don't ever say something that just came to your head, ever. If you haven't already thought through it, it's probably not what you want to say, because there's probably a 50% chance that you're going to say it wrong, especially if you're talking relationally with one of your girlfriends about a guy that she's dating or whatever, and you haven't thought about, if she asks me this question, this is what I'm going to say, because it's going to slip out and you're going to say something dumb. And then you're going to hurt your relationship with her. Don't do it. So just remember, unless I already thought this through before we had the conversation, don't say it. Because then you're going to end up having to go back and have another conversation to say, I'm sorry for saying whatever you said, that was dumb. So that's the lesson. Unless you already knew you were going to say it and thought through the consequences, good or bad, don't say it. Hold your tongue. You don't got to get everything out right then. You can always have another conversation. So with that being said, give me the last word, Bailie.
I think the last word, there is always a chance to hurt someone or for things to go wrong if you give your opinion. But there's only room for growth and dialogue when you ask questions.
I like that. We'll leave it there. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Rising Tide Leadership Podcast. Always good to chat about Gen Z stuff. So, Bailie, thank you very much for coming on. And we will see you all next time. In the meantime, get out there and be a relational genius. I know you can do it. And remember, never give your opinion because nobody really wants it. We'll see you next time.